there's the argument that, for example, people in Venezuela, in Argentina, if you use a strong currency like the USD or the euro or Bitcoin, if you hold on to this, stay out of the political battle, just stay undercover, you can have a phenomenal life, a phenomenal life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what?
Pedro,
Any?
Pedro, I'm so sorry, dude. Like, sorry to interrupt in there, but
I think it would be
with
cool to
this,
have
you
a
touch my
discussion with
nervous
you.
system because I'm coming from Venezuela. I know what is the
Yeah,
reality there.
yeah, no,
Yeah, yeah.
Gustavo, we'll
Another
give you a
example.
space to share your
Maybe
perspective in
the
the next
culture,
meeting.
let's go in education, and evolution doesn't mean to repeat history. Okay, evolution means to move forward. So if I will challenge that belief that there is that if you just repeat history this time with digital gold, things will be better through capital accumulation. Mm, we don't have time to discuss that, but I will really would like to leave this with to place that
We
challenge on
got
the
your
table.
point. Thank you. Thank you,
Let's do it.
Gustavo. I'll design the
Bye
next event
bye.
to make sure that you can present also your perspective. It makes sense. I'd like to hear from Jose. I'd like to hear from Sondre. And I also like to hear from John. John, if you don't mind, you'll be the last one, and then we'll wrap this up. And Pedro will do a one-on-one recording of your ideas as well to make sure that you can fully present without this incredible panel we have here today. Okay, Jose.
Okay. I'll just be brief, just a couple of comments. One probably is to try to, let's say, to extract ideology from the whole presentation. I don't think this is an ideological project. I think it's more of a philosophy of life kind of thing. And especially in places, if you go to Galicia, for instance, people in north of Portugal, for instance, people are, for instance, Catholical upbringing, which is kind of like it's like say it on the surface or underneath the surface, I want to say. So bringing forward these libertarian, liberals, and whatnot, this is things that have, let's say, an ideological stance. And if you want to communicate this with people, let's say normies, as somebody was saying here in the group, I think, like if you lower the ideological barriers, it will be easier for us to communicate, like whichever goals you want to try and reach. Because ultimately, we're talking about the same things, just not using the labels. And again, I mean, I can go back to some of these examples where people are actually doing the same things just on different names. So this can bring about of confusion. Another is about Bitcoin per se. I don't think you want to say Bitcoin, you want to say crypto, because Bitcoin also brings a charge into it. And it doesn't necessarily need to be BTC, to your earlier point. It just needs to be on crypto for the reasons that you were trying to place, like on the usage of Bitcoin, right? So this is just kind of like two little details on that. Last one, on the Swiss model, honestly, about open lists and stuff, you have other political systems. I can recommend you, for instance, to watch the Irish, which they have something called the STV, which is a single transfer vote, where people can actually, we vote different times, and once somebody is elected as an MP, the remaining votes are distributed to the next, whatever, candidates and whatnot. Open lists has a lot to do more with the party system than with the political system per se. That's why in Portugal we don't have. We call it like a partidocracy to a certain extent, which means that you have the control of the political parties, namely for national elections. For local elections, it's different, as you know, because we have citizens lists who are actually winning whatever mayorships, so on and so forth. That's another kind of forms. But to change this requires parliament, requires lobby, requires the whole shebang. So I'll probably try to take it from a different angle and not to be so close to the Swiss model in itself, because even the referendarium model, as you know, can have some hiccups as well, because then you can be, let's say, you can block legislation because you're referending every little thing. So you need to have a balance, like between things when you're trying to build up some sort of political system behind this. So again, these are just kind of like food for thought. We can, I mean, I'm quite glad of speaking about this for a while, and I highly recommend you as well that you can touch this in all conversation I'm having, or at least in crypto when I talk about DAOs and these sort of projects, that we have at least more political scientists, social scientists, and whatever, like constitutionalists, for instance, which can be attached to your project as well. Because this is what I see that fails in a lot of DAOs and a lot of, like these good intentions that sometimes we are bringing behind such projects, is that the fundamentals, like of what we are talking about, this conceptual, framework, sometimes it's can be more tuned and can be more, if you like, more worked around, so these are again just 2 cents for the conversation to be continuing. That's it.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you for showing up today. It's a real honor. Jose has been an incredible figure in the Portuguese blockchain environment, and also he has a PhD in government studies. So thank you. Okay, also I'd like to hear from Joshua real quick, and also Sondre and John. Sondre, you and Joshua, you're the ones that actually working on this land-based. So just wanted to give you some voice and make sure you have any questions or anything.
I guess I'll be the dampener on it. It still comes down to money.
Mm-hmm.
There's still anything that has to do with land, anything that has to do with the physical space. There's need for some kind of capital to make things happen. So the ideologies are great and the governance systems are amazing, and these are the things that help the machine work in the long run. But I guess I just always suggest to keep in mind, like, where do these initial dollars, whatever currency they are, something has to start flowing to actually start making an impact. And I guess I'm curious about that element here in this conversation.
And maybe you can share, Sondre, about your experience moving liberal stad with the pace of your budget, let's say. Anything?
Yes, sure. Thank you. Interesting group of people here today. My name is Sondre. I'm one of the co-founders of Liberstad. This is a free city project, or free city in Norway. I'm also currently living in Montenegro and associating myself with the Montelibro project here. And I just want to share that there's 2 very different models between Liberstad and Montelibro. Liberstad, we are basically, we bought the land 7 years ago, maybe soon 8, and 2017, and we collected money from people, and we sold cabin plots basically. So that was the way we financially started the whole project of Liberstad. And I won't go too much into that, but the way it has developed, we have realized that we need to build everything from scratch. So we have the constitution now, we have a membership agreement, and there's enough challenge with just a bunch of 15, like 15 people. You're a community of 15 people, you start getting in trouble already. And in Liberstad, we are attempting to get the most amount of freedom that will be possible, which means we will eventually want to go into a conflict with the state and with the government to see how much freedom will they give us. We just believe that we are completely free. We're not asking for permission to be free. We are free, and we just want them to acknowledge us, and we don't need a acknowledgement in a way. So that's one thing. Liberstad is a big ass project. We need more money. We need more people. But people are more important than money. Like, that's the most important. Here in Montenegro, I'm working with the Montelibro people. It's a fantastic movement. It's more like a libertarian movement. They have their own city here, but Montelibro wouldn't be much if it wasn't for the fund that they have, which has quite a lot of money, and they're spending that money on festivals, doing constructions and buildings. Like, to bootstrap a new community is costly. But I think the most important thing is actually people who are willing to move there, to be there and spend their money there, right? They have a brewery in Liberstad, right? If there's no people drinking beer, buying beer, there's no business. And I think one of the foundational things we thought about Liberstad is actually creating jobs for people, creating businesses. And but that is really hard, because if you're an entrepreneur today, you won't be moving to a free village, because there's no money in it, right? Go somewhere else, you can earn millions, right? So